you cannot see the wood from the trees. I've never really thought seriously about this statement, but as I stand here, I realize that there's so much of the same thing to be seen. You cannot distinguish one from the other. You have to start somewhere, like we've done. The struggle has been about peace and justice. And peace doesn't exist where there is racism, oppression, and exploitation.
Most of us strive to build a better life for ourselves, but all too often the building blocks of society crumble around us. More than 1 billion people throughout the world live on less than $1 a day. 100 million children don't go to school, and 24,000 people die from hunger daily. In Southern Africa, over 40% of the population of more than 230 million people is poverty-stricken.
There was once a graffiti up in Yeovil which said Yeovil is a free zone. You know? And I think it's always had that kind of feeling about it, that it's not just quite like the rest of Johannesburg or the rest of the country.
I think you have some of the greatest thinkers and like young people that live in this area, in all fields, whether it be like art or engineering or like stuff like that.
There's definitely a Yeovil thing, a singular Yeovil thing. And it's very difficult to define because each of the little subcultures so defiantly denies any kind of connection to the other thing. And you really, you know, whether you wear the Doc Martens with the 22 eyelets or whether you just wear the shoes makes all the difference in the world. But I think as a sort of bird's eye view, there's definitely a connection, and I see it as separate from, I feel when I drive into Yeovil, it's like coming home.
There's something about Yeovilites that kind of, I don't know, it takes a long time before you discover if they are bullshit, you know, and they tend to come across as having a lot more depth. I don't know if it's more real, you know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
In truth, Yeovil is no different from any other suburb. People just live open lives here and don't care what anybody else thinks. It's a suburb that refuses to embrace mediocrity. Instead, they embrace everything else. And then suddenly, over the last year or so, my living room disappeared. It was full of people I didn't know, or people I didn't want to share my space with. I think it's our fault. We didn't do anything to change it.
From the 25th of September 1974 until December 1974, about 800 of us were arrested. And I was arrested on the 10th of October 1974 and held in solitary confinement for 2.5 months and brought to trial together with 13 other people on the 31st of January 1975.
And then at university, you know, he challenged the authorities and he got involved in drama at an early age, well, an early stage at the university. So I think that then started to raise the consciousness and raise the issues around what he felt was social commentary on the realities of a society at that time that was very oppressive and racist and exploitative and so on. So
I was sentenced to 5 years for conspiracy to overthrow the state.
I was always hopeful that a lot of the drawings and a lot of the writings he did somehow would come out of jail and would be published. But I'm afraid a lot of that didn't.
And when they brought Musiwa back from the lawyer's visit, and they locked him up and the water went away, and then we just heard Musiwa bursting into tears and screaming out, "Steve is dead."
Sure, there are other people. There are other people who also gained access to this kind of experience and so on. But there's always such a thing as that everybody can be a Soccerite, but not everybody can be Pele. So whilst many of the others may have gained as much of that, not all of them could have become Strini Mutli.
Jednoga dana bio je lep dan. On je sa svojim komšijom sedeli ispred kuće našeg pretka. U dvorištu je, gle slučaja, bila šljiva i pili su, šta bi drugo nego rakiju. Žena je spremala ručak, jedan uobičajen dan, znači. Odjednom su banuli Turci.
Mislim da u Srbiji mi imamo svakodnevni ritual ispijanja kafe i da svaki kraljevčanin, svaka kraljevčanka u toku dana 3 ili 4 puta sede i piju kafu sa svojim prijateljima, kumovima, rođacima ili komšijama, a kafa i rakija idu zajedno.
Ajde, neka bude srećna slava, živjeli. Živjeli.
Tipičan Srbin, recimo, iako nema novca da nekog ugosti, on bi uzeo kredit u banci da ugosti, da napravi slavu ili proslavu za nešto, da bi se taj gost osjećao zaista najbolje. I zaista je to u tradiciji srpskog naroda.
Komšija Varjačić je uspeo, pošto je bio vredniji, lakši, brži od našeg pretka, je uspeo da se uspentra na šljivu i da se sakrije u krošnji šljive.
Mislim da svijet nije bio spreman za koronu. Šta onda jedna mala Srbija treba da uradi da bi bila sposobna da se nosi sa koronom?
Znači 10%, 750 miliona ljudi treba da oboli sa značajnom kliničkom slikom. Od tih 750 miliona, ako ne reagujemo, 10% će umreti. To znači da treba u svetu da umre 75 miliona ljudi. To je bila procena u prvom trenutku.
Ja živim u porodici gde ima i članova koji su bili stariji od 65, a ima mi i unuče koji ima 5 godina. Pa onda kažu ne treba spajati bake, deke sa unučićima. A šta da radimo u situaciji gde svi živimo zajedno?
Kraljevo je grad koje je imalo, prvo mnogo je bombardovanja, pa su bile poplave, pa zemljotresi i negde smo uvek jedni drugima pomagali. To volonterstvo je jako izraženo i to u Kraljevu, to krasi Kraljevo, iskreno da vam kažem.
Mi smo imali jedini u državi plan zaštite i spasavanja za slučaj epidemije. I taj plan smo usvojili. I prvog dana sve što radimo u odnosu na taj plan.
Tako da smo u početku apsolutno držali stvar pod kontrolom, jer trebalo je držati 1000 i nešto ljudi koji su došli iz inostranstva. Odlična saradnja sa policijskom upravom grada Kraljeva, sa civilnom zaštitom, sektorom za vanredne situacije.
Onog trenutka kada je vladalo vanredno stanje, mi smo morali da budemo ljudi koji vode ovaj narod u borbi protiv koronavirusa.
U stvari, ranije su ljudi mnogo manje imali para ili sredstava, ali su se mnogo više voleli, cenili, poštovali, pomagali. I to je taj odnos, to je u stvari održavalo ljudsku vrstu. Ranije se više pomagalo mobe. Si čuo za mobe?
Pa ja imam ovaj spomenik srpskom ratniku koji definitivno simbolizuje i Kraljevo i tu borbu i to je prvo što mi padne na pamet kad je korona tu. Znači da Kraljevo može da se izbori i sa tom koronom.